here for Retire.Asia. Let's take a little walk. I'm going to enjoy my coffee, and I want to talk to you about something. You know, if you haven't seen my videos that I did before about beliefs and values and how important they are if you're thinking about becoming a ripper and living in another society, you got to understand those dynamics of beliefs and values, or you're going to be in for a lot of problems. I'm going to turn this way because of the wind, so it's not blowing into the microphone. But anyway, where does this this intersects in a lot of different areas. It's going to intersect when it comes to sanitary conditions, to living standards, to driving, to everything. Depending on your rules and your values, you're going to be determining whether or not you're happy or sad based on that, because you're going to be filtering everything through those beliefs and values. Well, you know, this even applies to relationships. You know, you're always going to hear these horror stories, because the horror stories actually, we hear more of bad news than we do good news. Very rarely do we hear about good news. We usually will hear about bad news. So the bad news is there's some people feel like they've gotten taken in relationships, and some people have. And so people generalize and make these beliefs about Thai women, and Thai women being bad women. Well, they're going to be bad or good based upon, again, about your beliefs and values. So let me ask you a couple questions. And this applies to everything in life. I mean, we've got a looming collapse of the US dollar. Is that going to be a good or a bad thing? Well, if you're trying to buy a bot with the dollar, it's going to be a bad thing. If you're trying to buy a dollar with the bot, it's going to be a very good thing. So life is holographic. Everything changes depending on where you're standing and looking at it. I could do a whole series of videos about when the dollar collapses, you know, what are your options going to be? Because you know me, I'm always saying there's always an option, and there will be options as well when that happens. And there are ways to get more life for less money, but you got to be prepared. But back to the relationship thing and Thai women. Most of the people that feel that they got ripped off, or they feel that, you know, that the relationships in Thailand aren't so good, is because they say Thai women always put their family first. And then they're judging whether that's a bad thing or a good thing. So let me ask you some questions. Is that a good thing or a bad thing that they put the family before you? Now imagine the antithesis of that, where they put you in front of their family. What kind of person would that be? You have to ask yourself that. Because why would they put you in front of the family? Only for one reason: because of the material possessions they're getting that they don't want to share with other people. So what does that make that person? I mean, think about this. If they're putting a family ahead of you, and this thing about giving to families, it always falls on the person within the family or family circle that has the most to be able to give. They take the biggest part of the responsibility. I've seen this. Foreigners think it only applies to them when they come over. Oh, it's because the foreigner has a lot of money. No. I've seen Thai families where there's only Thai people. There's no foreigner involved, and one person takes on a bigger responsibility because of them having the ability. I'm going to pick up some money here. See, money just falls out of the sky for me. I don't know what happens about that. But anyway, yeah, my assistant Nat saying, it's my money, my money. No, now it's my money. See, beliefs and values. Anyway, so you got to ask yourself about whether this is a good thing or a bad thing about this. And foreigners think, well, it's only a foreigner that they want to take the money from. They don't do this within, you know, if it's not a foreigner. And that's not the case, because families that are only Thai people involved and there's no foreigners involved, I've watched one person take on the responsibility to be able to take care of mom and dad, or a brother that gets injured or whatever. When you come into the picture, more than likely, and I'd say 80%, 90% of the time, especially in the relationships that foreigners pick, you're all of a sudden going to be the breadwinner of the family, and you are part of that family now because you're in the relationship with a Thai person, so you become part of the family. So there's an obligation that comes with that. And so that obligation is for you to help out whenever you can. And that doesn't mean they're going to all of a sudden have all these needs and wants. They could, but not necessarily. But back to whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. Mom and dad aren't going to be around forever. The family's not going to be around forever. Then you've taken a person, so you might say, okay, well, that person's a bad person putting the family in front of me. Okay, great. If that's the case, what happens when mom and dad's gone and you're the only person? Now they put you in front of everybody else. Now is that person a good person or a bad person? Now you might be saying, well, now it's great. You know? So it's all, again, it's holographic. It depends where you're standing looking at these situations. If you want to learn anything about life, about being happy, it's to be flexible and not be stuck on your view of the world. I mean, this is what creates all these problems in the world, is people stuck on their view and trying to make everybody else's view their view. That's only the egos trying to make everybody else wrong and you right. And so that's not very useful. It creates a lot of pain. If you look at any kind of emotional pain, not physical pain, but emotional pain, all emotional pain comes from somebody wanting any given situation to be other than it is. If you're accepting of whatever situation is, you're happy. If you're accepting of that. If you're resisting or thinking it should be any other way than it is in the moment, you're going to be unhappy emotionally. And so something to think about. So again, whatever you see looming in your future, and you're saying, well, this is a bad thing, look at how you're looking at it. What is your beliefs and values surrounding that? And if the situation is going to be unpleasant for you, either you can change your beliefs and values or change the situation. I mentioned, I referenced, the collapse of the U.S. dollar. I don't want you to sit with no money and go, oh, well, this is great, because it probably won't be. Now, is there a way to actually accept that and deal with it? Yes. But if you can prepare yourself ahead of time, you need to look into it and say, okay, how can I, what's the saying? It says, expect the best, but be prepared for the worst, something like that. Well, that's the thing. Hope and expect that collapse never comes, but if it does come, be prepared for it. That's all I want to say. I don't want to get into economics and everything here, because when I start to talk about things like economics, politics, religion, things like that, and economics falls into that as well, people get really angry. If I start talking about a collapse of the dollar or a collapse of the government or anything like that, people get angry. And this again falls back to the beliefs and values. Why would they get angry? Instead of going, that's something to think about. It's because they have everything vested, their whole life. The foundation of their life is based upon the belief that the money's going to be okay, the government's okay, their safety's going to be okay, the civil climate is going to be okay, everything's going to be okay. When you start to rock that and then make even the insinuation that it might not be, people get really angry and defensive, saying you don't know what you're talking about. And so anyway, I'm just enjoying my coffee. Now, here, a great example. Coffee. Is being able to buy coffee for $1 a good thing or a bad thing? If you're saying, well, I love coffee, that's a great thing. If you're saying, well, I had a heart attack because it's too much caffeine, if I go over there and it's $1 for a glass of coffee, a cup of coffee, or that's a bad thing. I could end up with a big challenge. So again, everything in life has to do with these beliefs and values. You really need to examine them and look at them. And when you're feeling unhappy, either change the situation or change your belief or value about that. And there's ways to do that. You can research it. But I just wanted to pass that on because I hear so much about Thai women are so bad and Thai women do this, do that. And then I listen and think, well, I'm seeing it from a different perspective. I don't have the same opinion about even that situation. I don't come to the same conclusion because my beliefs and values are different. So check your beliefs and values before coming over, or even while you're home. This is really important. So I just wanted to pass on that tip. When it comes to interpreting life in any given situation, remember, there's always an option. See ya, JC out.